Good evening. We are here joined with Kevin. Welcome to Big Debate Tough Talk, Kevin.
Thank you.
Kevin, we're here in Shanghai. I'll do my top button up. Kevin is a businessman. He's got his own company here in Shanghai. He's been a Christian most of his life. And we're talking about the motion today. Without Christianity, the West will fail. Kevin is for the motion. Now, the live big debate, Kevin debated this motion. His side lost, but he's got a chance to win the war. He lost the battle, but he could win the war today by persuading the whole of YouTube. So, Kevin...
It's a bigger audience this time.
It's a bigger audience. So I'll start off, Kevin, with a simple question. Why, in a nutshell, are you for the motion, without Christianity, the West will fail?
Well, we tried it. We tried it before. There are several countries in the Western world that have tried going away from Christianity, and they were manifest failures. The Soviet Union, before the revolution, was a Christian country. Nazi Germany was a Christian country. They replaced their Christian faith with something else, and it was a disaster not for them, but for the entire world too. Christianity is a very important component of Western culture and life, along with the rights of man, religious liberty, and economic liberty. It's one of the three legs of the stool. You just can't remove one and expect the structure to stand. This is actually a testable hypothesis. What the scientists would say, we can prove this by seeing what's happening right now across Western Europe, which is a rejection of Christianity and an embrace of the opposite, which is Islam. And we will see this happen in my lifetime, definitely yours, where the Western world will fail spectacularly if they continue the course that we're on now.
Okay, that's a bold start. We're going to pick up Islam a bit later on.
Okay.
I want to jump in on the reference to, because I think everyone watching is thinking about it, Nazi Germany.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying they rejected Christianity because Hitler called himself a Christian, right? He used God in his speeches, but you're saying he rejected Christianity and chose something else.
Well, he created a state religion. He said in the beginning that it was based on Christianity, but it clearly wasn't. I mean, you cannot... Jesus was a Jew, first of all, so to annihilate a race of Jews is not a Christian act. The Christian faith is an embrace of the entire Old Testament plus the New. And Jesus came and taught what was a revolutionary religious faith that isn't shared by any other religious faith in the world. Love your neighbor as yourself. It's better to give than to receive. Do for others as you would have them do for you. And there is nothing that Nazism represented that says any of those three things. So to call yourself a Christian, but to act in a fundamentally, entirely different way is not Christian.
Okay.
We know them by their deeds, not by their words. And is there any religious scholar in the world who looks at the writings of Nazism or the practices of the Nazi regime and says, yeah, you can see the common thread between this and Christianity? There aren't any.
Okay, I see your point. Now let's go into the Islam bit. So you mentioned that Islam is the opposite of Christianity.
Mm.
How does that work? How is it the opposite?
Well, it was a shaky notion in the first place that you could exchange Christianity for some kind of humanism, secular humanism that Europe kind of gravitated towards in the 1980s and 90s, where Christianity was clearly on the ebb, on the decline, especially among kids in your generation, frankly. And then we replaced it with something that was more benign, socialist. We take care of each other, but we're not really Christian, and so on. I would say that was dubious whether that could continue, but in fact, I don't have to worry anymore. What is being replaced now is the opposite, which is Islam. Christianity teaches that you should love your neighbor even if they don't share your religious faith. However, you are compelled, you're required to share in love your religious faith and convictions with non-believers. So Christianity is an evangelistic religious faith. We believe in going to places like Asia, like Africa, and building schools and building hospitals and teaching them that there is that God loves them, that he sent his son to die for us, and that his commandment is that we take care of other people even if we do not know them, even if we do not like them, and even if they do not like us. The Christian faith commands us to love them anyway. The Islamic world is completely different in their approach to marriage, and their approach to law, and approach to relationships with non-Muslims. They permit lying, they permit killing, they permit stealing, they permit cheating in contracts. And what Europe has done is rejected the one and embraced the other.
Okay, let's do a quick timeline, a quick historical timeline, just zoom in. Let's start history maybe 100 years ago, and 100 years ago in the West, we're saying it's mostly Christian, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly Christian, okay, and so Kevin's pretty happy about that, things are okay. And then you're saying at kind of around the 80s, 90s time, Christianity was declining.
Right.
And you just described it was replaced by some sort of mildly socialist, let's look after each other kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so Christianity is on the decline, and now we're further on that process, and you're saying, so what exactly is going to happen here? And now you're saying we're going to get to a place where Islam is going to take control.
Mm-hmm.
How's that going to happen? Are we going to vote in Muslims to lead countries? Is it going to be a war? How's that going to happen?
It might be a war, but the parliamentary systems of Europe lend itself to minorities running countries, okay? In the American system of government, it's almost inconceivable that a group that represents just 25 or 30% could take control of a national government. But in Europe, that is completely conceivable. In your parliamentary system, where you have minority parties, minor parties, that share and enjoy 30% of the popular opinion, you have to form coalition governments. We see this happening right now in Germany, where Merkel, who is a somewhat popular leader of Germany, now has to form a coalition government with her political enemies in order to run the country. This is going to happen, and it's just the law of numbers. The Islamic population in Europe has doubled in the last 10 years. It will double again in 20. That is even net of the new migration coming in, which is running at 2 million per year.
So do we have any percentages?
Something
like what percentage of Europe is Muslim now, and what do you predict in the future?
I want to say it's 10 or 12, 10 to 12. It
12%.
depends on the country, too.
Sure.
In Southern Europe, it's higher than in Eastern Europe. Poland, the Czech Republic, these other places have almost no Islamic influences, but in Southern Europe, the percentage is higher.
I haven't got the stats in my head, but I think in Britain it's like 4%, maybe it's 10 in France. Anyway, but so you're in Kevin's crystal ball, those percentages get much bigger. Why is that? Is that because of their reproduction rates, or is that because more come in, or both?
No, it's both of those things.
Okay.
And it's the decline in the population of white Europe,
Right.
of Christian Europe, where you have far below replacement rate demographics across all of Europe. In Germany, it's 1.2 children per woman. That means the population of Germany will fall in half every 60 years. Well, all you need is a few people coming up from other countries who have higher reproduction rates than yours, and it's just a matter of time. This isn't algebra, this isn't even calculus. This is just a matter of plotting it out on a line, and you can see where it's going to happen. This would be problematic anyway. The problem here, it's not like we have in the Western Hemisphere, where there's a lot of migration from the Southern and Central America north to North America. because they at least share our religious faith. The Catholics in Latin America are similar in most ways to the Protestants of North America. You're not going to have a convulsion of, you're not going to have a clash of two completely different belief systems. In Europe, that is completely not true. You cannot take Christian faith and combine it with Islam or whatever Christianity has been replaced by and confront Islam. You will not have a conversation 50 years from now about gay rights in Denmark. There won't be any.
But
We're
hold
not
on a
going to have
minute.
gay marriage in Holland. It won't exist. It's just a matter of time and voting.
So I see what you mentioned with the demographics there, but I think a lot of people watching this will want to say to you, because in the West and in Europe there's multicultural, right? There are lots of different belief systems.
Mhm.
What is stopping Muslims coming from their home countries and living in the West and having their own beliefs but not forcing it on anybody else? Why can't they? Why, in your opinion, do they have to take over? Why can't, if the West is welcome with open arms, why would it not just be a very diverse society? Why do they have to take over?
Because Islam says they must. It's very simple. I've been studying Islam for over 30 years. It's not a passive
So you're
faith.
saying that
They will not
the
come.
scriptures say they must.
They must.
Let's say the scriptures say that, but do you think the humans that come over and have a better life for their children, their families, they're actually going to bind together and try and take over? You really think that's going to happen?
People vote the same way as people like them vote. The Greens vote with other Greens. They believe in environmentalism above all else. Above all else, they vote similarly with other people who believe the same way they do. The Christian Democrats in Germany, the Labour in your country, the Democrats in mine,
My country
Republicans in mine.
is Britain.
Yeah.
So I think what you're saying, you're not saying that Muslims will come into we're talking a lot about Islam, even though the topic is Christianity, but let's keep on it. You're not saying that the Muslims will come into the West and necessarily everyone will grab a gun and there'll be like a revolution. Your prediction is it will be a peaceful takeover. It will just be by the vote. It will just be by the numbers, and they'll vote for a person like them, a Muslim person, to peacefully enforce Sharia law. Is that your vision?
That's what, interestingly, the word in Islam for peace means subjugation. It means submission. And that's what it's going to look like. You won't have violent, armed conflict, probably, on a massive scale. But I don't know. I mean, Europe's history in this is not good. Europe has been the home of 2 world wars so far. There's no reason it won't be number 3. I don't know how it will play out, but it won't be as benign as you pretend. It will be a battle at the ballot box. It'll be a battle of culture. It'll be a battle of where gradually you see these terrorist attacks in Spain, in Italy, in the UK, in Germany, where you see sexual assaults, and then suddenly you become dull to it, right? It used to happen and you would be shocked by it. Now you're not shocked by it anymore. You look and hopefully it didn't happen to somebody you know. It used to be that a terrorist attack in London would be revolting. The government would fall. Now it happens every couple of weeks. It happens in major European cities with regularity. There is very little difference now between the streets of Brussels or Paris and in a Middle Eastern country, which is basically lawless.
Okay, I see your point. We could go a lot further with this, but let's bring it back to Christianity. But just to kind of close that point, putting Islam to one side, but just a general point, so is it your position that whether it's Islam or whether it's a different united group with different values to the West, whether it's a neo-Nazi group or whether it's me and my gang of Liam and my gang of cats, or whether it's a bunch of Scientologists, do you think the West needs Christian values to unite the West against smaller organised groups that want to take over?
Yes, because you have to believe in something. Belief in something will always triumph over belief in nothing.
Right.
What does Europe believe today? What are the values of the modern European? What does he think is important?
So my follow-up is, do you not think Europe can combine together without a religion? Can't the West say we believe in freedom, we believe in freedom of speech, we believe in democracy, we believe in property rights, we believe in capitalism or a mixed economy? The West cannot bind together with those beliefs, and anything that would seek to hurt it, they could stand strong? It has to be a Christian.
Why do they believe those things?
Well, hold on, I'm interviewing you.
I'm asking you why they believe
Why
those
do they
things.
believe those
They
things?
believe those things because they were taught for 2,000 years that men are God's children, that we have to respect the rights of other people. We have to treat those people over there who are not my family as if they were in my family. That means I have to respect his property, just like I want him to respect mine. This is unique in the world where we had the greatest civilization the world had ever seen, where prosperity was shared by almost everybody for 1,000 years.
What?
And now they're saying,
What civilization was that?
ours, the Western civilization.
The British Empire and the Western civilization.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where else did it happen? Where else did these views?
So you're saying the Western values that you like are actually Christian values?
Sure, they are. Which ones aren't?
Okay. Let's talk about gender. So
Alright.
one thing the West values is gender equality. Maybe you agree or you disagree.
I
Does Christian values really value gender equality?
Of course they do. In most respects, the Christian faith considers women more valuable than men. That's another big difference between us and Islam. Women and children first, that's a Christian ideal. That's not a Muslim one, certainly.
It's a Christian idea. I heard that on the Titanic, but that came from Christians, right? Women and children first.
The notion that we have to protect generations that come up behind us, even if you're a man and that woman over there is not a part of your family, you're supposed to protect her and lay down your life for her.
This is a Christian notion.
Do you know of any others that do?
What part of the Bible talks about this? Is this just not?
It's better to give than to receive. Be this a testimony unto you that I've come to give my life as a ransom for many.
Okay, we start off talking about gender. Let's keep on this. So,
Okay.
but do you believe people without Christian faith can be capable of these things that you call good? Can a non-Christian be? Surely a non-Christian can do good things for other people. Can sacrifice himself for the next generation.
Mhm.
Surely.
Surely it's possible. And if I can find a good atheistic society like the Soviet Union, for example, I'm sure I could find some examples here and there where that actually happened. Did it happen across the entire country, the entire culture? I don't know.
I see your point. So on gender,
Some of the richest families in the whole world were on the Titanic. I hated the movie because it made it look like the upper crust was all getting away on the boats when it wasn't really true. John Jacob Astor was on that ship and he's drowned. He was about the 8th or 9th richest man in the world at the time. He knew that he could not live with himself if he went home and other people on the ship died.
and he was a Christian,
As far as I know.
and he was.
I guess I should double check. I didn't know this was going to come up.
And you would assume that that's his Christian values that made him do that, rather than just him being having that moral system. as a
Doesn't
human
matter.
being.
Whether he was a Christian or not is irrelevant. The United States is a Christian country, and they would not have allowed a person to come back without pouring derision and shame. In fact, they did. One of the people did survive the Titanic, and people wondered, why are you here?
Ah.
So the fact that even we have many people, we have millions and millions, untold millions of people in America who are not Christian believers either. But the fact that they live in a Christian culture changes their behavior in certain ways.
Okay.
With that removed, what do you have instead? Something I don't recognize.
Okay, we've exceeded 20 minutes. I've got one final question for you, and that is, it's a personal one. Not too personal. So, you're a Christian, that's obvious. So, but you haven't been a Christian all your life. Give us a very quick snippet. When did you become a Christian?
I grew up in church, but I wasn't serious about it until I was in my early 30s, probably.
Ah, so that was like 5 years ago. Okay, so
That.
you grew up in a Christian family, but you took it seriously in the 30s. Okay, so then you can answer the hardest question on earth. You can answer it with ease.
Mm.
You can answer the question,
There's a few questions I don't know.
what is the meaning of life? It's easy for you. You've got it, right?
It isn't easy.
It's not easy.
No. There's
What's the point of being a Christian if you can't answer that?
Well, there's several questions that Christians have great trouble answering. That's one of them. Another is that why do bad things happen to good people? That's a very difficult question to answer.
So
you see something like the tsunami or an earthquake. Why did that happen? If there's a loving God who created the universe, why did he allow it? And those are difficult questions to answer. What's the meaning of life? A Christian would say that our job is to serve God, and we do that by serving people around us, taking care of other people. And anybody can take care of their family. That is the minimum of any man anywhere. He's supposed to take care of his mother, his wife, his children, those people. The hard part is taking care of people who you don't know.
Okay, let's stop it there. Thank you very much, Kevin, for coming on.
Yeah, my pleasure.
That was enjoyable. We're going to, at the end of every talk, we do a hug, Kevin.
We do a hug.
Yeah, get involved. Nice hug.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for coming on.
My pleasure.
That was Kevin, and he arguing for the motion, without Christianity, the West will fail. You can check out that full debate on YouTube, and you can give it a like, you can give it a dislike, you can comment, you can troll, you can say whatever you think. Are you a Christian or are you not? Check it out. See you next time. Thanks a lot, Kevin.